Jay stood on the observation deck of the Earth Alliance orbital station, watching the quiet line of stars beyond the glass. Space looked calm, but every officer on the station felt the tension growing in the past months. Rumors spread about strange signals coming from the far edge of the solar boundary. Some said it was only old debris bouncing signals back, but others believed it was something more. Jay did not like rumors, but something about these new readings made him uneasy. Earth, in the late 22nd century, was no longer the divided world it had once been. After decades of conflict, the nations had joined under the Earth Alliance. Humans had grown stronger and more united, exploring deeper into space. But with this growth came attention from other civilizations. Most alien groups respected Earth's region, having learned from old stories shared between worlds. Those stories warned that humans were unpredictable, adapting faster than any known species. But not every empire in the galaxy believed those warnings. Far away, a powerful empire debated its next move. They had received multiple messages from smaller civilizations urging them to avoid Earth's area. Those messages said the humans had a strange way of turning disasters into victories. They said humans were small in number, but dangerous when cornered. The empire's leaders ignored all warnings. They believed humans were still primitive creatures who had barely begun to understand space travel. Pride blinded them, and they prepared to move closer. On the station, Jay's communicator beeped softly. He answered the call and heard Myra's voice. She was one of the best xenologists in the Alliance, always calm and always curious. "Jay, you should come to the briefing room," Myra said. "We have new data." Jay left the observation deck and walked through the wide metallic corridor. Crew members moved quickly, their faces tight with stress. Something had changed. When he reached the briefing room, Mira and Hannah were already inside. Hannah, a strategist with a sharp mind, nodded at him. "Good timing," she said. "We just picked up the new scans." Day entered a moment later, carrying a datapad. He was an engineer who often worked on experimental technology. He placed the pad on the table, and the hologram lit the room. It showed the solar boundary and several moving points. "These signals," Day said, "are not natural. They look like small probes testing the outer region." Jay folded his arms. "But whose probes?" Myra looked at the scans closely. "The energy patterns do not match any friendly civilization. They are not from any group that respects Earth's treaties." Hannah sighed quietly. "Then this is the start." Everyone in the room understood her meaning. For months, the Alliance had been receiving warnings from distant observers. Those observers claimed an empire was expanding aggressively. They claimed that the empire had asked questions about Earth's defenses. Now their probes were approaching. "We need to respond," Jay said. "If they think we are weak, they will keep pushing." Mira nodded. "We should send a message first. A peaceful one, but strong." Jay agreed. "I will lead the reconnaissance fleet. We can show presence without starting a fight." The team prepared quickly. Within hours, Jay and his crew boarded their ship, the Horizon Wing. Several smaller ships joined them, forming a small but capable fleet. Their goal was simple: reach the solar boundary and show that Earth was not unguarded. As the Horizon Wing left the station, Jay stood on the bridge, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. Mira sat at a console, gathering information. Hannah monitored communications from the station. Day checked the ship's systems. When they reached the edge of the region, the strange probes were already there. Small metallic objects drifted quietly, sending out sensor beams. "Open a channel," Jay said. Myra spoke into the transmitter. Her voice was steady. "This is Earth Alliance fleet. You are entering restricted space. Turn back immediately. We do not seek conflict, but we will protect our region." For a moment, there was no answer. Then a cold metallic voice crackled through the speakers. "This territory is unclaimed. Your kind has no right to dictate our movement." Jay felt a cold wave travel down his back. The voice carried the same pride mentioned in the warnings. Mira replied calmly, "You were warned by other civilizations. Earth's region is not open for expansion. Do not make a mistake that will harm both sides." The voice answered with what sounded like amusement. "We do not fear primitive species. We will advance where we choose." The transmission ended. Hannah shook her head. "They misread everything. They think we are begging." Jay tightened his grip on his chair. "Then we must make them understand." They maneuvered the fleet into a defensive formation. The probes reacted by turning their sensors toward the human ships. One of them flashed brightly and exploded, sending a wave of energy. "Was that a weapon test?" Day asked. "Maybe a warning shot," Hannah said. "Or maybe they think this will scare us." Jay breathed slowly. "We hold position. Do not fire unless they attack first. They must not twist our actions." Hours passed with rising tension. The probes withdrew, but new signals appeared farther out. Larger ones. The alien empire was moving closer. Communication attempts were met with silence. Back on Earth, the Alliance Council debated their options. Many feared a full invasion. Others hoped the empire would retreat after seeing human defenses. But the movement continued. Jay's fleet monitored every shift. Mira scanned the patterns and frowned. "They are studying us, measuring our response time." Hannah added, "They think we are slow. They think we are unsure." They looked up from his panel. "That means they will test us again." He was right. Soon after, one of the alien ships appeared on the edge of human scanners. It did not attack, but it moved dangerously close. "Hold steady," Jay ordered. "Do not show fear, but stay ready." The alien ship fired a small beam toward a nearby asteroid, slicing it in half. Not an attack on humans, but a message. "They want to intimidate us," Mira said softly. Jay stared at the screen. "Then let them watch us stand." Even though the fleet held position, everyone felt how close things were to breaking apart. Peace hung by a thread, but humanity would not step back. They had survived too much, grown too strong, and learned too many lessons to be pushed aside. As the alien ship pulled back, Jay realized something important. The Empire was not testing the region, they were testing humanity itself. And they believed humans would fold. He turned to his crew. "Prepare for more contacts. This is only the beginning." The fleet stayed in formation as the stars shifted around them. Earth remained behind them, bright and fragile, but determined. Jay knew that whatever came next, humanity would not face it divided. They would face it together. Far beyond the boundary, the alien empire prepared its next step, still blind to the truth that every other civilization already understood. Humans were dangerous not because they sought war, but because they never accepted defeat. And soon, the Empire would learn that lesson the hard way. The Empire did not wait long before making its next move. Days after the first probes retreated, new signals appeared on the edge of the solar boundary. These signals were larger, stronger, and carried the energy readings of warships. Every alarm inside the Earth Alliance stations activated at once. Officers ran through hallways, reports flooded communication lines, and tension grew across every base. The warnings from distant civilizations had been right. The Empire was ignoring every message and crossing into Earth's region with full force. Jay received the alert while still positioned near the boundary with the reconnaissance fleet. He stood on the bridge of the Horizon Wing and stared at the hologram that showed several large enemy ships moving closer. Myra sat beside him, studying the patterns of their formation. "They are not hiding anymore," Mira said quietly. "They want us to see them coming." Hannah looked at the tactical screen. They are moving in a straight line. Very aggressive. Very direct. Day checked the scanners from his engineering console. Their energy output is high. Higher than anything we have faced before. Jay took a slow breath. Then this is more than a test. This is a challenge. The fleet tightened its formation. Human ships were smaller and lighter, but more flexible. They could turn faster and adapt more quickly, a trait that had saved them many times in past conflicts. But this time, the enemy was confident and proud. Their ships were built for dominance, not negotiation. Myra opened a communication channel again. She spoke clearly, firmly, and calmly. Unknown fleet, you are entering restricted space. Withdraw immediately. We do not wish to fight. No answer came back. Instead, the enemy ships accelerated. Hannah shook her head. They think silence makes them look powerful. Gay's screen beeped. Their weapons are warming. Jay gave the order. All ships prepare defensive positions. Do not fire unless they fire first. Moments later, a bright beam shot across the dark space. It did not hit any ship, but passed extremely close to one of the smaller vessels in Jay's fleet. A warning shot. A provocation. They want us to react, Jay said. They want to claim we started the fight. Myra watched the enemy ships carefully. They believe we are afraid. They believe we will panic. The Empire had learned the wrong lesson from their first encounter. They believed humanity's silence and restraint meant weakness. They believed humans would retreat if pressed hard enough. They believed pride would shield them, but they were wrong. As the enemy fleet advanced deeper toward the boundary, Earth Alliance Command sent new orders. Reinforcements were on the way. Jay was to hold the line until they arrived. Jay looked at his crew. We do not show fear. We stay calm. We stay steady. Hannah made the calculations for the defensive grid. If they fire again, their beam will hit something. They are too close now. Day made small adjustments to the shields. I can increase resistance, but only for a short time. Mira kept her eyes on the screen. They want to force us into action. They want a reason to justify a larger attack. The enemy ships spread out slightly, forming a crescent shape. It was a formation designed to intimidate and surround. Jay recognized it from old xenology reports. The Empire used it when they prepared for a swift conquest. Mira pointed to the display. This is their capture formation. They do not want peace. Jay nodded grimly. Then we have no choice but to stand firm. Before anyone could respond, the nearest enemy ship launched a small drone. It sped toward the horizon wing, glowing bright red. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Impact drone. They shouted. Jay gave the order instantly. Evasive. The ship turned sharply. The drone passed by, missing them by only a narrow margin, and exploded in the distance. The shockwave rippled across space. They tried to hit us, Hannah said. No more warning shots. Another drone launched from the enemy formation. Jay tightened his jaw. They are forcing us into combat. This time, the drone targeted one of the smaller support ships. The support ship fired its engines hard, trying to evade, but the drone adjusted its speed and direction. It was tracking. Shields will not hold against that. They warned. Jay raised his hand. Destroy the drone. A human ship fired a pulse shot. The drone exploded before reaching its target. That single act changed everything. The enemy fleet immediately shifted formation and charged. Mira whispered. They were waiting for this. The space around the boundary filled with beams, pulses, and explosions. Human ships darted between blasts, using their speed to dodge hits. The Empire's ships were larger and slower, but powerful. Each shot they fired cut through space with deadly force. Jay issued commands with steady control. Left flank, pull back. Right flank, support the horizon wing. Keep moving. Don't let them pin you down. Hannah guided the tactical layout. We can't outpower them, but we can outmaneuver them. Keep switching positions. Day monitored shield levels. We cannot take too many direct hits. Mira watched the enemy carefully. Their movements are stiff. They are not used to fast opponents. Slowly, the tide shifted. The human ships moved unpredictably, confusing the Empire's targeting systems. The enemy expected humans to fight like other species, slow, direct, and overwhelmed by fear. But the humans danced through space in a way the Empire had not seen before. One enemy ship overshot its target, drifting into the path of another ship. They collided slightly, not enough to destroy them, but enough to disrupt their attack line. Hannah pointed at the disruption. There, they made a mistake. Jay seized the opportunity. Press forward and break through their left side. Human ships moved in quickly, firing short bursts. They did not try to destroy the enemy ships, just break apart their formation. The Empire's ships struggled to adjust. Their earlier confidence began to crack. Their pride had led them to believe they did not need preparation. They believed humanity would crumble. But the humans held the line. After several intense minutes, the enemy ships pulled back slightly. It was not a retreat, but a pause. A moment to rethink. They did not expect resistance, Myra said. They nodded. They will not accept this. They will return stronger. Hannah added, reinforcements from Earth will arrive soon. If we can hold a little longer, we can push them out. Jay stared at the dim lights of the enemy fleet. This is only their first wave. The real force is still behind them. The crew grew quiet. Across the vast distance of space, another group of enemy ships appeared on the scanner's larger and more heavily armored. Myra spoke softly. The Empire is escalating. Jay understood what this meant. The Empire was determined to push into Earth's region no matter the warnings. Their pride was guiding their decisions, and that pride had placed them in a path that would soon lead to ruin. He stood tall, ready for the next phase of the conflict. Hold position, he said. Humanity will not back down. As the next wave drew closer, deep inside the Empire's command carrier, their leaders watched the battle with growing irritation. They believed humans were stubborn. They believed humans were reckless. But they still did not understand the truth. Humans were not reckless. They were resolute. And soon the Empire would learn the price of underestimating them. The enemy's second wave moved like a dark wall across the edge of the solar boundary, larger and heavier than the first group. Their armor glowed with strong energy fields, and their weapons carried a deeper, more dangerous power. Jay watched them appear one by one on the scanner, each ship more intimidating than the last. The bridge of the horizon wing fell silent as reality settled over the crew. This was no small fleet trying to frighten them. This was a real invasion force. Mira studied the readings. These ships are built for war. They are not scouts. They came ready to crush anyone in their path. Hannah examined the tactical layout. Their formation is tighter this time. They learned from the first wave. They want to trap us. They quickly checked the horizon wing's power systems. If they hit us directly, our shields won't hold long. We need support. And support was coming. Earth Alliance Command sent a message to Jay's fleet. Reinforcements were on the way. The Aegis Protocol had been activated across Earth's defenses. Ships from the moon ports, Mars bases, and deep space stations were now launching at full speed toward the boundary. The Aegis Protocol had not been used in many years. It was a sign that humanity was now fully united for war. Jay shared the update with his crew. We just need to hold them off until the reinforcements arrive. We can't let them break through. Hannah nodded. We have to slow them down. delay their advance. Mira added, if they break into the inner region, they will aim for the stations near Mars first. Day looked up from his console. Then we can't let them pass us, no matter what. But the enemy fleet did not wait. They advanced in a strong, confident line. Their pride filled the space between them, almost visible. They believed they were unstoppable. They believed humanity's resistance was only temporary. They believed their size and power would crush any defense. Jay tightened his gloves and spoke clearly. All ships prepare to move. We are switching to evasive formation. Do not let them corner you. Keep rotating positions. The human ships broke away from their earlier pattern, scattering in a wide arc. This confused the Empire's targeting systems again. Their ships had powerful weapons, but they were slow to aim and slow to turn. Hana calculated the pattern. Keep changing direction. Never stay in one place too long. Myra monitored the enemy's movements closely. They are adjusting, but not fast enough. Their systems are designed for large battles, not fast skirmishes. Jay issued new orders. Hit them when you can, but do not stay in range for too long. We only need to delay them. Human ships darted in and out of the enemy's formation, like small sparks flickering through a storm. Each ship fired short bursts at the Empire's energy shields. The hits were not strong enough to break the shields, but enough to force the enemy to react. They watched the readings. We are irritating them. Their energy output is rising fast. Hannah smirked slightly. Good. Angry enemies make mistakes. And they did. One enemy ship tried to turn quickly to fire at the horizon wing, but it oversteered and drifted out of formation. Two more ships tried to adjust, but their movements were too slow. Mira pointed at the screen. Chaos is spreading on their right flank. Jay seized the moment. Focus fire on their right side. Keep moving. Do not let them regroup. Human ships concentrated their attacks on the weakened area. Small blasts flickered across the enemy shields. One of the Empire's ships shook violently and drifted backward, its engines flickering. Day stared at the readings. We damaged them. Not destroyed, but damaged. Hannah said, that's enough. It slows them even more. But the enemy soon responded with force. Their central ships fired heavy beams that tore through the space around the human fleet. A nearby Alliance ship took a direct hit, its shields breaking instantly. The ship spiraled, damaged, but still intact. Mira gasped. That was too close. Jay narrowed his eyes. They will keep firing until they hit something. Keep moving. The horizon wing dodged another beam, turning sharply. The lights flickered, but held. Day quickly stabilized the controls. Shield still holding, he said. For now. Myra looked at the enemy formation again. They're not slowing down, even with the hits we gave them. Jay heard the determination in her voice. Then we must use something else. He looked at Day. What about the debris research you were working on? The experimental tech. Day blinked. It's not fully tested. It might overload our systems. Hannah turned toward him. Could it give us an advantage? Day hesitated only a moment. Yes, if it works, it will confuse their sensors. They won't be able to lock onto us for a short time. Jay nodded immediately. Do it. Day began activating the experimental module, a small device created from studying old alien debris. It produced a powerful but unstable energy field that could interfere with enemy readings. Lights flickered across the horizon wing as the device powered up. Energy spike detected, Mira said. Day gripped his console. Almost ready, almost. Then the device activated. A wide ripple spread from the horizon wing, invisible to the human eye, but strong to every scanner. Mira looked shocked. Their targeting systems are glitching. Hannah smiled. They can't find us. The enemy ships fired beams in random directions, missing every human ship. The confusion grew across their formation. J gave the new order. All ships, take advantage of the gap. Move through their lines. Break their formation again. The human fleet burst forward like a sudden wave. They moved quickly between the enemy's disrupted ships, firing small blasts and forcing the Empire to shift positions. The enemy commander aboard the lead ship watched the chaos on his screens. He slammed a fist onto the control panel. Furious, he shouted, "Primitive creatures. They should not be this difficult." But he still did not understand. Humanity had faced extinction, disasters, and wars long before reaching space. Humans survived by adapting, changing, and learning faster than their enemies. This was their strength. And now the Empire was beginning to see it. Back in the Horizon Wing, the crew felt a faint vibration as the experimental device began to weaken. They warned, "We only have a few more minutes before it shuts down. Or worse, damages the ship." Jay nodded. "We only need a few minutes more." At that moment, Earth's reinforcements arrived. Dozens of new ships appeared behind the human fleet, their engines burning bright. Larger cruisers, defense ships, and carriers spread out across the boundary. Their arrival filled the scanners and shifted the balance. Mira smiled with relief. "Reinforcements are here." Hana recalculated the battlefield. "We can push them back now." The enemy fleet saw the new ships and hesitated. Their pride kept them from retreating, but their confidence began to crack. Jay raised his voice. "All ships advance. Do not give them time to recover." Human ships surged forward together. Their formation was strong now, unified and powerful. The Empire's ships fought back, but their earlier confusion left them weakened. They deactivated the experimental module before it overloaded, and the Horizon Wing returned to normal. Myra monitored the enemy signals. "Their right flank is collapsing." Hannah added, "Their left side is pulling back. They are losing control of the battlefield." Slowly, then suddenly, the Empire's ships began retreating. Not in an organized withdrawal, but in frustration and confusion. J watched them go. "They will come back. They are too proud to stop here." Myra nodded. "But now they know. Humanity is not weak." Hannah sat back, breathing hard. This was only one battle. The real war is still coming. Day wiped sweat from his forehead. "And next time, they won't underestimate us. They will bring everything they have." Jay looked toward the distant stars where the enemy fleet was retreating. He felt no relief, only determination. "They were warned," he said quietly. "But they didn't listen." Humanity had held the line. But the Empire's pride was wounded, and they would return. When they did, the real test of Earth's unity, strength, and adaptability would begin, and humanity would be ready. The Empire's retreat did not last long. Even as the damaged enemy ships disappeared into the darkness beyond the boundary, Jay knew they were already preparing their next strike. The Empire's pride had been wounded, and wounded pride was dangerous. It made leaders blind, desperate, and reckless. Every report from the Alliance confirmed the same thing. The Empire was gathering a much larger fleet. And this time, they were coming with everything they had. The Horizon Wing returned to the main defense station near Mars for repairs. Engineers worked nonstop on the damaged ships, patching holes, replacing burned wiring, and stabilizing weakened shields. Jay walked through the hangar, watching teams rush from one ship to another. Even though the atmosphere was tense, every person worked with quiet determination. Humans had survived the first wave. Now they were preparing for the true storm. Mira joined Jay as he observed the repairs. "Command says the Empire is moving faster than expected. Their main fleet could reach us in 2 days." Jay nodded slowly. 2 days is not much time. Hannah approached, carrying a tablet filled with tactical maps. They are sending their command carrier this time. Their leaders are coming personally. Day walked up behind her, holding a small device he had been repairing. If their commanders are coming, it means they refuse to admit defeat. Jay looked around at his team, at the busy hangar, at the workers who moved with silent purpose. Then we need to show them that defeat is the only future they will find here. Preparations continued through the night. The Alliance fleet grew larger as more ships joined from Earth, the Moon, Mars, and distant outposts. Some ships were old but reliable. Others were new and experimental. And although humanity had fewer ships than the Empire, their unity gave them strength the enemy could not understand. By the second day, the scanners detected the first signs of the Empire's main force. Energy readings climbed rapidly. Their shadows spread across the scanners like a dark wave. Jay stood on the bridge of the horizon, wing as the enemy fleet entered visual range. Their ships were massive, more than twice the size of any human vessel. Their armor was thick, glowing with heavy energy fields. But the center of their formation was the most frightening, a colossal command carrier shaped like a dark spear pointing at Earth. Myra studied the carrier. That ship controls their whole attack. If we destroy it, their fleet will fall apart. Hannah shook her head. It will not be easy. That carrier is heavily protected. Day added, and it probably carries their strongest weapons. The enemy fleet advanced slowly, confidently. Their movements showed no fear, no uncertainty. They believed victory was already theirs. They believed humanity would crumble under their full force. But they were wrong again. Jay spoke calmly. All ships hold formation. Wait for my signal. The enemy did not wait. They fired the first attack, a massive beam from the command carrier that lit up the entire battlefield. The beam streaked through space and exploded near the Alliance front line, sending waves of energy across dozens of ships. Shields holding, they reported. Though his fingers tightened on the controls, Hannah stared at the screens. They will keep firing until they hit something important. Jay gave the order. Begin counterattack. The Alliance fleet moved forward in a coordinated strike. Human ships spread out, weaving between enemy beams, firing bursts at weak points in the Empire's lines. Small explosions shimmered across the battlefield. As human shots cracked through the outer shields of the enemy ships, the Empire responded with fury. Their weapons blasted through space, shaking the horizon wing with every near hit. Their pride pushed them forward, ignoring their losses. They believed humans were only delaying the inevitable, but humanity had a new plan. Hannah had developed a strategy not based on power, but on confusion. Split into 3 attack wings. She ordered, draw them away from their carrier. The human ships broke formation, moving in unpredictable patterns. The Empire struggled to track them. Their massive ships tried to follow, but their own size worked against them. Their formation stretched, then bent, then fractured. Myra pointed at the screen. Their left side is weakening. Their ships are not staying together. Jay saw the opening. We pushed through there. Horizon Wing led the charge through the broken left flank. Human ships fired concentrated blasts, shaking the enemy vessels. Several of the Empire's ships took heavy damage and drifted out of the fight. The enemy commanders realized their mistake and shouted orders across their fleet. Reform! Crush them! But their voices carried frustration, anger, fear beneath the pride. They monitored the Horizon Wing's systems. Shields at 60%. We can still move. Myra focused on the command carrier. They are preparing another large beam. If they fire it, we must not be in front of it. The entire enemy fleet shifted to protect the carrier. Their ships moved closer, forming a heavy wall around it. Hana frowned. They are fortifying. We can't break through directly. Jay looked at Day. Can the experimental device work again? Day shook his head. It needs time to recharge. And even if it did work, the carrier is too strong. It will not confuse the command systems. Mira thought for a moment. We cannot break their shields, but we can break their focus. Jay turned to her. Explain. Mira pointed at several smaller enemy ships around the carrier. Those ships are carrying communication nodes. They connect the entire fleet. If we destroy them, the carrier loses control of the battle. Hannah checked the tactical map. She's right. The fleet will start to panic if their commands are delayed even a little. Jay smiled slightly. Then we strike the nodes. The Horizon Wing and 2 fast cruisers charged toward the left side of the carrier's shield wall. The Empire fired at them immediately, but human ships moved too quickly. Their smaller size gave them an advantage the enemy had never prepared for. The first communication node ship appeared on the scanner. Myra focused the targeting. Node locked. Jay ordered, fire. A bright pulse streaked across the battlefield and hit the node ship directly. Its shields flickered, then died. The ship exploded in a flash. Almost instantly, the enemy fleet shifted in confusion. Hana watched the patterns change. Their left side is hesitating. They don't know which direction to follow. Jay pointed to another node. Next target. They boosted the engines. Going in fast. Human ships weaved between enemy beams, closing in on the second node. Mira fired again, and the second node ship burst apart. The Empire's formation cracked further. Their right side drifted away. Their central ships turned without coordination. Voices of panic rose across the enemy channels. They're losing control, Mira said. Hana nodded. Now we go for the carrier. The Horizon Wing moved with the full Alliance fleet behind it. Together they charged at the center of the enemy formation. The carrier's shields glowed bright, resisting the first blasts. But with the fleet confused, the carrier had no proper protection. Jay raised his voice. Concentrate all fire. Dozens of human ships fired at once. The beams cut into the carrier's shields, causing them to spark and twist. A loud alarm rang across the Horizon Wing. Day shouted, "Carrier shields down to 80%. More beams struck. The carrier shook. 60%. The enemy commanders inside panicked. They shouted commands, but their voices reached no one. Their pride had kept them from retreating earlier, and now it was too late. 40%. The carrier fired back, but its shots were scattered. Without their nodes, their aim was poor. 20%. The shields flickered violently. 5%. Jay stared at the carrier. Finish it. The final barrage hit the command carrier head-on. Its shields collapsed entirely. A massive explosion burst from its center as the ship cracked apart, light filling the battlefield. The entire enemy fleet froze. Without their leaders, without orders, without unity, they began to crumble. Ships drifted out of formation. Some fled instantly. Others fired wildly in confusion. The once mighty Empire fleet became a storm of chaos. Myra whispered, "This is their collapse." Hana added softly, "Pride brought them here. Now pride destroys them." Jay watched the enemy fall apart. He felt no joy, no celebration, only the heavy truth of war. They broke the silence. We did it, but they will beg for surrender soon. They have nothing left. Jay nodded. Prepare to accept surrender signals. The battle is over. The humans had won not through power alone, but through adaptability, unity, and the ability to change faster than the enemy could even understand. The Empire had been warned, but they did not listen. And now their ruin was complete. The sky above Earth was calm again, but the people who lived under it knew how close they had come to losing everything. The last pieces of enemy ships still drifted beyond the orbit of Mars, glowing faintly in the darkness, reminders of a war no one on Earth had wanted. Jay stood on the bridge of the command ship horizon, watching the debris slowly scatter across space. His hands rested behind his back, and his face was calm, but inside he felt the heavy weight of every life lost in the struggle. The war had ended only hours earlier. The invading empire had finally broken, and their last surviving ships had sent a message asking for surrender. Many on Earth had expected that humanity would destroy the remains of the fleet. After all, they had attacked without reason, ignoring every warning that had been given to them. But even after all the suffering, humanity chose a different path. Mira stood beside Jay, tired but steady. She had spoken with the enemy survivors through the communication link. Her voice had been firm but calm, making it clear that their surrender would be accepted, but they would be watched closely. As she replayed those conversations in her head, she still felt a strange mix of fear and pity. These aliens had believed they were strong, powerful, and destined to rule over others. But their pride had blinded them, and it had brought them to ruin. The bridge doors opened, and Hannah stepped in. Her uniform was still marked with dust and scratches from the long days she had spent in the field. She walked with a quiet determination, though exhaustion pulled at her eyes. She joined them at the front of the bridge, watching the drifting debris. "They will not forget this," Hannah said softly. Jay nodded. "They should not, and neither should we." Hannah folded her arms. "I keep thinking about how easily things could have ended differently. If our defenses had failed, if Day had not completed the upgrades in time, if we had hesitated even a little longer, Earth might not be here anymore." Myra looked down. "It is strange. They thought humans were weak, but they did not understand what makes us strong." Jay turned to her, waiting for her to continue. "Humans do not give up," Mira said. "Even when everything seems impossible, we adapt, we change, and we learn. The invaders did not expect that. They thought we would break. Instead, we became stronger." Hannah nodded slowly. "And now the whole galaxy knows it too." As they stood in silence, Day entered the bridge. His expression was mixed relief that the war was over and sadness for the damage done. He handed a data tablet to Jay. "The repair ships are moving in," Day said. "Our people will start recovering what they can from the battlefield. There is also a request from Earth Command. They want you to prepare a message for the Galactic Network." Jay raised an eyebrow. "A message?" "Yes," Day replied. "They want to send a statement to every known civilization. Something simple. Something clear." Myra already guessed what the message would be. A warning. Day nodded. A polite one, but still a warning. Jay sighed softly. He knew why the message was necessary. Humanity did not want war, but the galaxy had to understand that Earth was not a place to challenge lightly. If another empire tried to force its will on Earth, the same outcome would follow. He turned back to the glass window overlooking space. The stars shone quietly, distant and peaceful. There was no sign of danger now, but he knew that peace was something that had to be protected. Later that day, the four of them gathered in the communication hall. A single camera stood before them, ready to broadcast across the galaxy. Jay stepped forward. His voice was calm and steady. "This is a message from Earth," he said. "We did not start this war. We warned your empire to stay away from our region. You ignored those warnings, and your pride brought great destruction to both your people and ours. But even now, we choose not revenge, but peace. Let this be known across the galaxy. Earth will protect its home. If you come in peace, you will find friends. If you come in arrogance or violence, you will face the consequences of your own choices. We hope this message brings understanding. Earth has no wish for more conflict. The message ended, and the room grew quiet. Mira let out a long breath. Do you think they will listen? Some will, Jay answered. Some will not. But the message will travel far. That is enough for now. Over the next days, Earth's forces helped guide the surrendered alien ships toward a neutral zone. The enemy soldiers were frightened, tired, and confused. They had expected cruelty. Instead, they were given food, water, and medical care. Many wept when they realized humanity was showing mercy. Mira spoke with several of them, trying to understand their culture and their beliefs. She learned that their leaders had fed them lies about Earth, lies about humans, lies about power. The common soldiers had never wanted this war. They had simply followed orders. Myra treated them with respect, and in return, they spoke honestly with her. One young alien, trembling as he spoke, said, "We were told that humans were nothing, that you were weak, that you would run. But you did not run. Why did you not destroy us when you had the chance?" Myra answered gently, "Because destroying you does not make us stronger. Showing mercy does." Meanwhile, they worked tirelessly on repairing damaged human ships. Some were beyond saving, their hulls ripped open by blasts. Others could be fixed with time and effort. As he supervised a repair crew, he spoke softly to himself. "War should not be what defines us," he said. "We can build more than weapons. We can build a better future." Hannah spent her days analyzing the final battle. She studied every enemy movement, every human counterattack. She wanted to learn from their mistakes and their successes. Though she was a strategist, she did not enjoy war. She simply wanted to make sure Earth would be ready if danger came again. Out at night, she walked alone through the quiet halls of the horizon, thinking about how narrow their victory had been. She touched a hand to the wall and whispered, "We must do better. We must find peace before war finds us again." 1 week later, the surviving alien fleet was escorted safely to the edge of their territory. They left without conflict, carrying with them stories of a humanity far different from what they had been taught. As the last enemy ship vanished into the darkness, Jay stood with Myra, Hannah, and Day on the observation deck. The war was over. The future was uncertain, but hopeful. "So," they said with a tired smile, "what do we do now?" Mira looked at the stars. "We rebuild. We learn. We explore." Hannah nodded. "And we prepare." Jay placed a hand on the glass, his voice quiet but steady. "The galaxy will remember this war. But so will we. And we will move forward, stronger and wiser." The four of them watched the stars in silence. Earth had survived. Humanity had proven its strength, not just through battle, but through compassion. The warnings had been ignored, but the galaxy would ignore them no longer. And so the story of humanity spread of a world once thought weak, now respected and feared, a world that asked only to be left in peace, but would stand firm against any prideful empire that dared to test its resolve. Earth had changed. The galaxy had changed. And a new chapter for humanity was only beginning.